I'm here to help you create great music. And I'm not talking about this plugin is so nice. No, I'm talking about Stravinsky level type of music. Stick around because you want to watch this. Okay, today we're gonna move to the rhythm. So I'm gonna talk about time signature, syncopation, groove, yada yada yada, right? Wrong. As we did in other subjects, we're going to go much deeper than that. We've been told our entire lives that rhythm is a heartbeat, that is a pulse, that's a safe 4x4 home that keeps us grounded. But if you've been following this course, you know that safety is the enemy of honest creation. Yes, it is true that research points to the imitation of biological cycles as the very reason for our affinity for rhythmic patterns. Nothing wrong with that. The problem is that this is an explanation of the origin of rhythm, not a tool to be used. What I see is that most composers today are trapped in the groove mantra. They open their software, they see the vertical lines of the bar, they start painting onto it without trying to escape it. Even the software takes that for granted. I find it extremely difficult to write some things because the programmers of that software only knew the normal stuff. Think about that. Modern DAW set the time signature at the top of your timeline. It simply disregards that one could want multiple time signatures happening at the same time, independently. They treat rhythm like a wallpaper with a single setting, something that just sits at the background while the real music is written on top of it. What I want you to understand today, as part of our mission to develop the right mindset, is that rhythm is not a background. Even if you create complex time signatures or do fancy polyrhythmic layers, you might still be anchored in that background, dancing around its frameworks, but still anchored. You might be missing one of the most powerful elements of rhythm. It is a force. And I mean force as in gravity, dragging or accelerating the perception. It is the remote control of how we manipulate human attention and expectation. Today I want to explore 4 concepts that give you a better vision on how rhythm could be expanding your musical creativity. The first one, and the one that allows you to escape this groove mantra, is to get rid completely of the idea of time signature and work at a microscopic level. Let's define this term, resolution. In digital photography, resolution is the density of pixels. In music, your resolution is the smallest unit of time you allow to exist. This is your pixel size. By thinking that way, the time signature becomes irrelevant, and your new background is actually a much more free fabric which you can manipulate. Your rhythmic patterns start to become well-crafted structures that can generate groove by simply cycling them. Or what's more interesting, you can produce impactful emotions by creating attrition and deceptions on the listener's expectation. Let me clarify that because this is really powerful. Imagine a standard measure. Your memory knows exactly when the next beat is coming. You feel safe. But what happens if we abandon the classic time signature approach and use the resolution of 16th notes as our fabric? And now I can start playing with these structures to produce different effects. If I take the same microstructure, but I trim out the last pixel of it, suddenly the now is arriving too early. The music now feels breathless, panicking. I still have my groove feeling, but the groove now is producing a human emotion. I haven't changed the tempo, but I've compressed the space. Now let's do the opposite. Add 1 pixel, making our resolution to be 17.
Now it feels like the music is dragging its feet through mud. The BPM hasn't moved an inch. Note that the macro structure is still the same, and it is still cycling. I still have my groove, but the groove is producing a human emotion now.
This is you, the composer, warping the listener's perception of reality. By trimming or adding bits of resolution left and right, we've created two powerful emotions, panic, struggle, without changing a single note or a chord. This brings us to the master of rhythmic disobedience, Igor Stravinsky. In The Rite of Spring, Stravinsky doesn't just change time signatures just to be complex. Think about the sacrificial dance. He establishes a resolution, a fast, consistent 16-note pulse, and then starts hacking it to little macro structures that happen to be constant evolving time signatures. And as he evolves these time structures, because he has a solid resolution, he can use the rhythm as a gravity, dropping our expectations to the floor, suddenly, deceptively. Groove is to Stravinsky an optional asset, not a cage. Sometimes he deliberately exposed the gravity effect of these structures, eliminating completely the sense of groove, as in the famous 11/4 passage, where every single beat has the same importance, like a hammer putting you down, 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 down. Still on Rite of Spring, yeah, Stravinsky is like, what I can say. He shows another powerful tool, exclamation points. Just like a 2-5-1 chord progression that deceives you by resolving to a distant, strange harmony, Stravinsky sets up a rhythmic expectation and then violently contradicts it. In those moments where the brass scream out of a quiet texture, it is not just a volume change, it's a temporal collision. It's the ghost of your past expectation being shattered by a now that refuses to follow the rules. He's using rhythm to demand your attention. He's saying, you cannot sleep here, you cannot feel safe. It's literally the exclamation point as in stop. Again, if we stop thinking about rhythm as groove and start thinking as a tool to direct attention, the composer becomes the true director of his creation. This is what I mean when I say a composer must have a sense of opportunity. Most students think they need to fill every measure with content, but a master composer knows that the most powerful thing you can do is to place events where the listener's attention is most vulnerable. For instance, Stravinsky waits for the moment that your brain sleeps on the pattern and then he just strikes. He didn't just write a rhythm, he seized an attention opportunity by introducing an exclamation point. Think about rap. It has massive mainstream appeal because it taps into the cadence of human voice. But most of the time, this potential is wasted. It's trapped in the same 4x4 framework, rounding up inconsistencies, fitting everything into squared boxes. It's funny because this is supposed to be an instrument of dissent, but it's blindly obeying the most traditional rules. When you use the speech instinct as your source of structures, the potential is tremendous. Look at the natural resolution of the word incredible. Incredible, incredible, incredible. This is a 4-note structure with a built-in accent on the second syllable. And we can do something even more sophisticated. For example, I can use the sentence, make sure that I don't go there anymore. Make sure that I don't go there anymore. Make sure that I don't go there anymore. This is a beautiful 11/16 groove, accenting the first, the third, and the eighth. Make sure that I don't go there anymore. Rhythm wants to mimic biological cycles, but not just the regular ones, like a heartbeat. He wants to mimic the spontaneous, irregular micro-rhythms of our speaking. When you stop anchoring yourself into grooves, you stop being a decorator and start being an architect, a designer of perception. You realize that you are not just writing grooves, you are using rhythm to direct the listening experience. Okay, we're coming close to the end of this foundation series. Stay tuned because I saved something really special for the last episodes. Thanks for watching and don't forget, composing is disobeying.